Washington, in the northwest of the continental United States, is home to the Makah, an indigenous group from the Pacific Northwest coast. They are members of the Makah Indian tribe of the Makah Indian Reservation, also referred to as the Makah tribe, which has federal recognition. They have linguistic and ethnographic similarities with the Ditidadat and Nuchanulth peoples of Vancouver Island's west coast, who reside in British Columbia, Canada, on the other side of the Strait of Juan de Fuca. The Makah people call themselves the Quidichak Atch, which means the people who live by the rocks and seagulls or someplace close. The phrases, the people who live on the cape by the seagulls and people of the point are among the alternative interpretations of this phrase. This has been anglicized as Qui di Chuk At on occasion. The Makah is known by its Sklallam language name Makaka, from which the English term Makah is an exonym. Generous with food is what it implies. According to archaeological findings, the Makah people have lived in the present-day Neah Bay for over 6,000 years. The Makah formerly resided in communities with big longhouses constructed of western red cedar. To allow for light or ventilation, the cedar plank walls of these longhouses could be slanted or removed. Makah placed a high importance on the cedar tree and made caps and clothes out of its bark to withstand the elements. Baskets were made from cedar roots. To create boats for hunting seals, gray whales, and humpback whales, whole trees were cut off. The ocean provided Makah with a large portion of their sustenance. They were fed fish, seals, whales, and a variety of shellfish. In addition, they would kill bears, elk, and deer in the nearby woodlands. For their meals, women also collected a broad range of berries, nuts, and edible plants. And roots. A Japanese ship that was dismasted and rudderless went aground close to Cape Flattery in 1834. Before transporting the 3 survivors of the wrecked ship to Fort Vancouver, the Makah kept them as slaves for several months. They were then shipped by the United States to London and then China, but they never made it back to Japan. Makah delegates chosen by the government signed the Treaty of Neah Bay with the federal government of the United States on January 31, 1855, giving up a large portion of their ancestral territory. The treaty prohibited slavery, guaranteed the Makah people the right to hunt whales and seals in the area, and mandated that the Makah be confined to the Makah Reservation, located at 48 degrees 19 minutes 20 N, 124 degrees 37 minutes 57 W in Clallam County. The government referred to the tribe using the Sklallam language name instead of the Makah language endonym, and the Makah language was not employed throughout the treaty negotiations. A Makah settlement next to Lake Ozette was partially destroyed by a mudslide at the beginning of the 17th century. According to the Makah oral tradition, a great slide once swallowed a section of Ozette. Before being excavated by the Makah and Washington State University archaeologists in the 1970s, the mudslide had left a number of dwellings and their belongings in a collapsed state. More than 55,000 items were found, illustrating a wide range of Makah activities, including fishing for salmon and halibut, as well as hunting seals and whales. Bows and arrows, games, and toys were among the artifacts. Richard Dougherty dug archaeological test trenches at the Ozette site in 1966 and 1967, but it wasn't until 1970 that the contents of the grave were revealed. Hundreds of well-preserved wooden items were revealed by tidal erosion during a storm in February 1970. Soon after, work on the Ozette site started. Under the guidance of archaeologists, university students collaborated with the Makah to remove mud from 6 buried longhomes using pressured water. For 11 years, the excavation continued. Over 55,000 items were created by it, many of which are on exhibit at the Makah Cultural and Research Center. The museum, which opened in 1979, features models of fishing, sealing, and whaling boats, as well as cedar longhomes. The oral traditions of the Makah are the source of most of what is known about their traditional way of life. The Ozette village site has yielded a wealth of archaeological data that has shed light on traditional Makah life. Because to Makah culture's historical class system, members of the middle or lower classes can rise in society by marrying into the upper classes. The structure of the society was mostly cognetic descent. The traditional Makah family was made up of parents and kids who lived in the same neighborhood. The social standing of Makah family members was determined by their connection to the tribe's leader. All genders participated in the hunting of whales and other livestock, and there were no distinctions between the sexes. Women's activities focused on acquiring resources for the household, even though males were more likely to hunt and fish. According to Makah oral history, their Aboriginal whaling tradition has been interrupted and then resumed several times. The most recent suspension of the practice occurred in the 1920s, when all hunting was halted due to the depletion of humpback and gray whale stocks caused by the commercial whaling business. The Makah reclaimed their whaling rights once the gray whale was taken off the endangered species list. On May 17, 1999, the Makah successfully hunted a gray whale under the direction and assistance of the International Whaling Commission and the U.S. government. Federal legislation grants the Makah the right to hunt and kill one baleen whale year, usually a gray whale. According to oral history and archaeological evidence, humpback whales were also hunted in the past. The Makah had not caught a whale in more than 70 years. The Makah whaling method is challenging and time-consuming. The guys hunt from tiny fishing boats and, more recently, from wood canoes that can accommodate 6 to 9 people apiece. They carry these into the Pacific Ocean, which is close to their reserve. The best whale to harvest is chosen based on a number of conventional factors. Hunters may tell when a whale is ready to dive and when it would be best to attack by counting the whale's exhalations. To escape the power of the whale's tail, the hunter approaches the left side of the whale and strikes when the whale is 3 to 4 feet deep. The 16 to 18-foot harpoon is made out of 2 yew wood pieces that have been joined together. In the past, hunters combined barbs from elk horns with the tip of a mussel shell. Hunters have been using a steel Yankee-style head since the late 20th century, but they have kept the yew wood shaft because of its strength, flexibility, and resistance to water. A rope with sealskin floats attached is thrown from the canoe to give drag, weakening the whale, while the harpoon shaft, which was held fast to it, breaks loose to be collected later. In the past, the whale was repeatedly struck with a series of smaller lances, which weakened and eventually killed it over the course of hours or even days. Following the harpoon attack, hunters have recently shifted to using a big game rifle in order to guarantee a more effective kill. The .458 Winchester Magnum, .46 Hero Weatherby Magnum, 50 BMG, and the .577 Tyrannosaur, which the Makah used in the 1999 hunt, are the 4 cartridges that the International Whaling Commission allows for whaling. After killing the whale, a crew member known as the diver plunges into the water and makes a hole in the top and bottom of the whale's jaw, to which a float and tow line are connected. This keeps the whale's mouth closed, preventing the water from entering the corpse and causing it to sink. The whale is brought ashore by hunters and welcomed by the villagers. The whale's spirit is welcomed with songs and traditional customs. The whale is then separated in an exact and customary manner, with specific cuts belonging to various families. The harpooner owns the saddle piece that is situated halfway between the middle of the back and the tail. It is brought to his house where a unique ceremony is held. At a potlatch, a large portion of the meat and oil are consumed after being distributed to community members. In part, the 1855 Treaty of Neah Bay states, "The right of taking fish and of whaling or sealing at usual and accustomed grounds and stations is further secured to said Indians in common with all citizens of the United States." The Makah claimed that this clause guarantees their right to whaling. Despite court-imposed rules limiting the Makah hunt, 5 members of the Makah tribe shot a gray whale in September 2007 with a .460 caliber rifle, which is comparable to those used to kill elephants.
After being seized and released by the U.S. Coast Guard, the whale perished within 12 hours, sinking as it was leaving port. The tribal council condemned the murder and declared that the perpetrators will face trial in tribal court. By ratifying the Indian Reorganization Act of 1934 and creating an elected tribal government, the Makah tribe ratified the Makah Constitution in 1936. A tribal council of 5 members was established under the Constitution. The council chooses a tribal chairperson annually. Laws pertaining to the Makah Reservation are created and approved by the council.
In late August, the Makah tribe holds Makah Days, a significant public event. It includes canoe races, traditional sports, singing, dancing, eating, fireworks, and a large procession and street fair. Fishing provides the majority of the income from many Makah tribe members. Makah fish are used to catch marine species such as Pacific whiting, halibut, and salmon. Because of this, they are especially susceptible to the impacts of global warming, heated waters that salmon flow in, and disruptions in the formation of mollusk shells, which are the primary food source for fish, are caused by ocean acidification. The Makah tribe is responding by using traditional knowledge to develop climate resilience action plans that prioritize socioeconomic issues within the community. The Makah monitor and study the climate of the Olympic Coast National Marine Sanctuary in collaboration with the Ho, Quileute, and Quinault Indian Nation and the scientific community. The indigenous language of the Makah people is called Makah. The language's endonym is Kwi-Kwi-Dichak. Linguistically speaking, Makah is a member of the Wakashan family's southern Nootkon branch. Additionally, it is the only Wakashan language spoken in the U.S. Other Wakashan-speaking tribes may be found in British Columbia, Canada, both northward as far as the central coast region of that province and directly across the Strait of Juan de Fuca on the west coast of Vancouver Island. Since the death of its last fluent native speaker in 2002, Makah has ceased to exist as a first language. Nonetheless, it continues to exist as a second language. The Makah tribe has started preschool lessons to teach its children the language as part of its efforts to resuscitate it. The Makah Indian Reservation, which includes Tatoosh Island, is owned by the Makah tribe and is located on the northwest tip of the Olympic Peninsula. They reside in and around the little fishing community of Neah Bay, Washington. According to the 1999 tribal census, there are 1,214 enrolled members of the Makah tribe, of whom 1,079 reside on the reservation. On the reserve, the unemployment rate is around 51%.